Hey guys, welcome back to the Bull Combo. Today we're going to be reviewing Eminem's latest album, Revival. So stick around for a metal fan's perspective on the album. I'll let you know what I like and I don't like. We'll see if you guys agree. Alright guys, so obviously this is something a little bit different. Usually I review metal albums and the music of choice for me is metal hardcore. So this is something a little different I wanted to do. You know, love him or hate him, Eminem is probably one of, if not the greatest hip-hop rap artists of our generation. Even if I listen to metal exclusively or primarily, I can still appreciate and respect that level of talent. And I would be lying if I said that I don't enjoy Eminem, or at least some of his content. So I wanted to take the time to really give a metal fan's perspective on this album, what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy, and just let you guys know my overall opinions on Eminem as a whole, and how I think this album stacks up to some of his previous albums, and you know, maybe where he's going to be heading going forward. So Revival is the latest album in a trilogy of albums I believe that Eminem has released. The first was Relapse, the second was Recovery, and then the latest obviously is this album, Revival. So obviously there's a theme going on there. It's not a big surprise for Eminem. He's usually pretty in-depth when it comes to the content of his albums. So let's jump right into this album. The album actually has 19 tracks. Of those tracks, only 2 are partial songs or skits or whatever you want to call them. So overall that's 17 songs on the album, which is pretty good for any album in general. But it gives the listener a lot of content to listen to, a lot of things to digest, and really allows you to make your own opinion on this album. So, you know, since it's come out, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews, mixed opinions on this, mixed reactions. Some people love it, some people hate it. And after listening to it a couple times, I kind of see where both people are coming from. And I definitely think that this album has some strong points to it, but I also think it has some weaknesses that could be playing into why people have some negative perceptions on it currently. So, first off, in terms of the content of the songs, it's really interesting. This album kind of seems like it's a mix and mash of a few different things. The first half of it, or the first portion of it, seems pretty politically driven, but the last half of it seems to be a pretty standard Eminem album. There's a lot of good songs in this album, and there's a few filler okay songs sprinkled in. Excuse me. I think it's really interesting that for some reason the strongest songs on this album are all songs that include or feature guest vocalists in some regard. Now, you know, that hasn't been the case previously. I know Eminem's had a lot of great hits that involve guest vocalists, so I mean that maybe just be the strength of the songs are a little higher when he's writing with a guest vocalist. I don't know, whatever the case may be. For some reason this album, when you listen to it, it's easy to identify the better songs on the album, usually by the guest vocalist in them. So you know, songs like River with Ed Sheeran, Tragic Endings with Skylar Grey, personal favorite Like Home with Alicia Keys. I think those are probably the best songs on the album. Bad Husband featuring Ex-Ambassador is another one. But those 4 I think are probably the strongest songs on the album. Now, in between those songs, there's a few other songs that have guest vocalists on them. There's one with Pink that guest vocals on it, and I believe the first song on the album, Beyonce guest vocals on. Unfortunately, I wasn't a huge fan of that song. It's not that I don't like Beyonce, I just think that the song could have been a lot stronger. You know, there's so many things they could have done with that song, and I felt like the route they took was just the wrong route to take on that song. So, overall, you know, a lot of strong content sprinkled in with some mediocre content. There's a bit of a contradicting flow to this album, and I think it's because some of these songs are pretty standard, pretty cliche Eminem songs. You know, I don't really care. I don't care what you think about me, I'm better than you kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, he's a great artist. But I feel like it doesn't mesh well with some of the stronger, more serious songs on the album. You know, there's a lot of serious points that are touched on this album. The song Like Home is very politically driven, pretty much a direct hit at Donald Trump. And I you know, love Donald Trump or hate Donald Trump, the song itself's really good. And I think you get a really good idea of the emotion that Eminem's trying to convey. And that's an example of the stronger songs on the album. Bad Husband, featuring Ex-Ambassador, that song's is Eminem really struggling with his ability to be a good father but somehow be a bad husband. And it's a really interesting topic that he talks about on the song. So it's really engaging and it's intriguing for the listener, and I think that those kinds of songs on this album are the ones that people are really going to flock to and really going to enjoy. Unfortunately, I feel like the good songs on the album are kind of outweighed by the mediocre songs. So there will be a little bit of skipping through to find the better songs on the album. Because there's 17 tracks, you'd be hoping that, you know, there'd be a couple more songs on there that are really strong to kind of make the album as a whole really strong. But I feel like this is probably one of the weaker Eminem albums, so I am going to end up agreeing with a lot of the negative reviews I've seen so far. You know, while there is, again, some really bright, shiny moments on the album where things are really fresh and they sound great, there's just a good amount of songs that don't really have a lot of life to them, seem a little forced, even down to the lyrical content and the sound of M's voice in the songs. I feel like some of the songs feel a little forced. And I don't know if that was because he was rushing to put out content or it was just the place he was when he was writing the songs. But some of the content feels a little forced and therefore it's a little hard to grasp onto, a little hard to enjoy. But like I said, there's a few solid songs on the album that really, I mean, to be honest, to be frank, they give you chills. River featuring Ed Sheeran is, you know, just one of those really, really good songs that if you don't get chills the first time you hear that song, you're probably not alive, you probably don't have a pulse. So, you know, and that's the polarizing nature of this album. Is there's some songs that are so good they give you chills, and then there's other songs that you just have to skip through because they're just so bland and a little bit regurgitated. So, from a metal fan's perspective, I appreciate everything Eminem does because he steps outside his comfort zone a lot, and I think that that's something that a lot of metal bands do, is they try to step outside their comfort zone. And they can, you know, they have mixed results there, and I think it really depends on the types of chances they took and where everyone is musically at the time, where the country is musically at the time when the album's released. And I feel like, you know, some of the songs on this album were released just the right time, and then other songs on this album just feel a little bit forced or a little bit out of touch with what the rest of the album's trying to convey. So in that regard, I feel like there's a lot of mixed and matching going on this, and it's as if Eminem recorded these songs over the last 3 or 4 years and wasn't in the same mindset with each one, so they don't have a lot of cohesion on the album. They're just kind of one into the other, and it's just, you know, where's this song going to take us, where's this song going to take us. And I think if he'd have stuck to a little bit more, if he was going to be political, just, you know, stayed a little more political all the way through the album, or took the songs that were that way and dispersed them through the album in such a way that it continued the storyline a little bit more than just kind of dropping off halfway through the album, I think that probably would have made it a little bit stronger and put people at ease a little bit in terms of their concerns with the content here. But at this point, I really have to agree. There's a lot of songs that I find myself skipping through at this point. And, you know, it's very interesting because when I'm not skipping a song, I'm listening to one of the better songs in the album that may give me goosebumps or give me chills, but then the next song just doesn't do it for me. So it's a very strange, polarizing album in that regard. A lot of strange emotions are created from it, but the content that is strong is very strong, and a lot of the subjects that are brought up are important subjects, not just for Eminem, but for America as a whole. So I think that that's something Eminem's always been really good at, was addressing current issues and current problems that we're facing pretty much head on and without any filter, which I think is what a lot of people not only enjoy, but would probably want to do as well. So in a way, listening to Eminem is a bit cathartic, and I think a lot of listeners would agree that Eminem has always been a bit of a cathartic artist in terms of his writing style. So I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I wouldn't go any higher than that because, again, we know what Eminem's capable of, and I just don't feel like this album really lives up to that. And at the same time, I don't want to go any lower than that because it is an Eminem album, and the things on there that are quality content are very good quality content. So while you may have to listen to a few filler songs, the songs that are really good are rewarding when you listen to them. So I can't take away from that. I'm really interested to see what you guys think on this album. I know a lot of the people that follow this channel are probably metal fans because all the album reviews I've done so far are metal or hardcore albums. But you know, for those of you that aren't metal fans, those of you that are new to the channel, I really want to see your opinions on this album. Let me know what you liked about it. Let me know what you disliked. Let me know if your thoughts kind of align with mine here in terms of it having some really good songs, but having some filler songs as well. So if you like the video, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. Thank you guys again for all the positive comments. I've gotten a few comments from some people just really encouraging me to keep the content coming, and that's really positive, and it really helps make me want to keep making more videos. So I really appreciate that, guys. Other than that, I'll be coming at you with another video next week. So in the meantime, take a look at this one. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, we will see you soon, guys.